You've probably found out about a potential colony on Mars and consider it as something which could possibly occur in the future that is distant. But what can happen in your lifetime, and maybe even in the following 3 decades if I told you? Would you imagine everything that is leaving and starting a new society from scratch 34 million kilometers away? Mars is just an Earth that is reasonably small, the 4th closest into the sunlight, but still about 142 million miles away. Its area covers 55.9 million miles that are about 141 million less than Earth. Its residence to the volcano that is tallest in the whole solar power system, Olympus Mons, which stands 16 miles tall, 3 times the level of Mount Everest. There's also a method of valleys that spans the land that is the same length throughout the entire United States. Some of those valleys tend to be 5 times much deeper compared to the Grand Canyon. There is impressive ice that is certainly polar. Lots of crewless spacecraft have made the journey to Mars through the US, Europe, the Soviet Union, and India, and there are programs for lots more that are submitted in the near future that are near. Meanwhile, governing bodies and exclusive organizations tend to be making plans to just take people to Mars for the full time this is certainly initially. And among these several tend to be also programs that are making set up a colony on Mars. It sounds like something right away from science fiction, but it's getting closer to truth each day. But why would anybody desire to begin a life that is new of an incredible number of miles away? There are several main reasons why experts and others believe that it is essential and also critical to explore the possibility of living on Mars. The main explanation is success of the competition. This is certainly individual. This could seem severe, but just how dinosaurs being numerous you see wandering around today. If humans on Earth previously encountered an event this is certainly catastrophic, the asteroid that probably took out just about all the dinosaurs 66 million years back, every advancement ever before made in addition to the whole people might be erased. Some also see developing a colony on Mars. Given that challenge, this is certainly ultimate will test individual knowledge, abilities, and resourcefulness. Also, Earth is full of issues like war, appetite, condition, and poverty. Colonizing Mars signifies a fresh start and a chance to create a far more society that is ideal. But the reason why Mars and not the Moon or somewhere else into the system, this is certainly solar power? Experts have found that Mars has got the recyclables essential to help life, including carbon, air, hydrogen, nitrogen, and ice. Now the relevant real question is how to get individuals indeed there. One team that received a complete lot of interest because of their plan to start a colony on Mars by 2030 was called Mars One, led by CEO Bob Lansdorp. This company that is Dutch a lot of money and ended up being very vocal about its intents to begin a colony in 2030. They also received programs from lots of people who had been interested in helping to establish that colony, and even though Mars One had been specific in regards to the risks included. Nevertheless, Mars One had been criticized by scientists and designers for the not enough focus on the logistics involved, and it was primarily characterized as being a committing suicide mission because of the neighborhood. This is certainly clinical. In 2019, Mars One went broke, but there are certainly others doing more work that is severe. Get ready for life on Mars. Probably the one who is many enthusiastic about creating a Mars colony is Elon Musk. This is certainly one of his own missions, being the founder and CEO of SpaceX. He along with his researchers have established a timeline that is intense could see the development of a Mars colony by 2050. To this end, these are typically creating a special spacecraft called the Starship, that will be the initial rocket. This is certainly completely reusable. This rocket is within the screening phases, and its own trip. This is certainly very first to could happen when 2022. This is when Musk intends to deliver materials to place energy, mining, and life support systems in position during a goal that is unmanned. The timing for this as well as other trips which are prepared considering whenever Earth and Mars tend to be suitably aligned. Next on the routine could be the very first trip that is manned Mars in 2024. The master plan is actually for the staff to put the groundwork for a colony that is viable. The year this is certainly after hopes to send another team to really start building a small town on Earth, that he hopes to cultivate right into a totally operating and inhabitable town by 2050. And what are the risks? He predicts that in the future, it might price less than $100,000 to make the move to Mars. Of course, Musk isn't the only one focusing on this task that is committed. The United Arab Emirates has an objective of creating a town for 600,000 individuals on Mars before of the 2117 year. They've been currently taking care of building a huge town when you look at the desert that will serve like a prototype when it comes to colony that is eventual. NASA has Mars to their radar too, but no timeline that is definite. Other countries, including Russia, China, and India, also have begun examining the concept of Mars colonization. But there are lots of things to consider before life on Mars is achievable. Possibly the most important factor into the conversation about creating a colony on Mars is the fact that Mars is certainly not really habitable for humans, not without the infrastructure that is proper. Mars has only 1/3 of Earth's gravitational force as well as a slimmer environment that is much. What this means is you are able to leap 3 times as high, and also you would only consider 1/3 of what you should weigh on Earth. The atmosphere is made up of 95 carbon that is %, and there's no defense against harmful radiation originating from sun. The temperature is not very welcoming either, with a temp that is normally bad -80 degrees Fahrenheit, even though temps can range from unfavorable -195 degrees to 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Those residing on Mars would not be in a position to stick to the diary that is the exact same Earthlings. Days are nearer to 25 hours than 24, +1 on Mars persists 687 times as it takes much longer to orbit a sunlight year. The sunrise and sunsets would look very similar to the way they appear on Earth, however it may be difficult to see all of them through the normal dust. This is certainly purple comes from the rusting iron on its area. Mars One initially stated it would cost about $6 billion to create the first 4 visitors to Mars, but nearly nobody else in this space this is certainly particular agrees with that figure. Elon Musk estimates that using the technology this is certainly current would cost about $10 billion per individual get to Mars. His plan to lessen these expenses requires having a rocket that is reusable, can transport up to 100 folks at any given time, taking the price down to a much more reasonable $100,000 to $200,000. NASA and SpaceX have projected that the Mars This Is Certainly Very First mission 2035 may have cost a complete of $230 billion, therefore the next trips would price around $142 billion each. Of training course, we're speaking just the amount it might cost to get to Mars to begin with, not the astronomical quantity it could cost to create and sustain a viable real human habitat on Earth that is red. You can find large prices involved with constantly extracting water, producing gases which will make breathing feasible, and building structures that could resist the surroundings that is harsh. Musk has actually admitted he could be mainly concerned with transportation for the present time, that he has actually placed a lot of idea into the colonization component and the expenses included. But as time passes these costs will achieve to the effortlessly billions and trillions. Therefore, given that we've covered all this given information on the plans to colonize Mars, let's reach the concern in front of you. For colonists leaving persecution and economic problems in Europe, America represented a unique start and potential. This is certainly endless. Society had been undeveloped without any infrastructure, typical regulations, or even a framework for coexisting. It was a clean slate that colonists built from the surface up, a brand new branch of mankind that ultimately emerged together to produce the nation this is certainly strongest in the world in terms of business economics, governmental impact, and military energy. But this didn't happen overnight. Industrious colonists and their descendants developed thriving companies, built towns and towns, explored everything America had to provide, and place every little thing they'd into developing a country this is certainly successful. And folks probably believed these were crazy for leaving their particular well-established cities in Europe to come to the unknown. This is certainly great start completely over. You will be thought by me personally see where I'm using this. Mars parallels America being a world this is certainly brand new lots of methods. However, it is various for the reason that it's in a lot more severe challenge, one which has never been faced because of the competition that is individual. However, the upside this is certainly perspective. This enormous task could one day function as difference between mass extinction and continuing advancement of. Yes, it's thought by us as safe to say Mars could be the brand new America. It's a slate that is blank, saturated in opportunities, as well as opportunity to take up a new period of mankind. If those who find yourself colonizing Mars are motivated and impressed, they have the possibility of developing a civilization this is certainly distinctive could one time dominate its earthly alternatives. But to make this happen, the Martians will have to be brave, revolutionary, determined, imaginative, and wise.